two main kinds of quadratic equations are, one is the integers and the other one's geometry related, because when you talk about area is like multiplying two things, and often those have x's in there, so if you multiply two things you get x squared, so you end up with a quadratic equation. Let's see this example. The length of a rectangle is 4 less than twice the width. The area of a rectangle is 70. Find the dimension of the rectangle. Alright, so we will call the length of a rectangle as x, and we also don't know the width, so let's call that y. Now it says 4 less than twice the width. Okay, so let's try to write this. Twice the width is 2y. And 4 less than twice the width. So if this number is like 10, what's 4 less than 10? That's 6. And what did you do with 4? You subtracted the 4 to get the 6, right? So just think of an example, and at some point you'll be able to see that 4 less than twice the width would mean 2y minus 4. Now you have this is, which is an equal sign, and x is equal to this. So x is equal to twice the width, 4 less than twice the width. The area of the rectangle is 70. Okay, so the area, how do you get the area? Area of a rectangle is length times width, right? So using that, we have that 70 is the area, and we call the length as x and width as y. So this is what we get. Alright, so we have a system of equations. We have x and y, two unknowns, and we have two equations. And that's good because you need two equations if you have two unknowns. If you have three unknowns, you need three equations. If you have four unknowns, then you need four equations. Okay, how do you solve a system? Well, you solve for one of the variables and plug it into the next one. Here we have that x is already equal to 2y minus 4, so that means I can replace this x by 2y minus 4, and I get 2y minus 4 times y equals to 70. Let's compute this. I get 2y squared minus 4y equals to 70. And as you can see here, it's a quadratic equation in y squared. So for quadratic equations, you want to put everything to one side. So I'm going to subtract 70, and I get 0 equals to 2y squared minus 4y minus 70. Now, this is, at first sight, it's a little annoying to factor because of this 2. If the square term has 1 as its coefficient, then it's a lot easier to factor. If it's not 1, then often what you have to do is you have to do something called factor by grouping, and that's hard. But notice that 2, 4, 70, these are all even numbers. So that means I can just divide everything by 2, and 2 over 2 becomes 1, and that's nice because now that's going to give me 1 in front of y squared. So 2y squared divided by 2 is just y squared. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 70 divided by 2 is 35. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Okay. And I know that 35 is 7 times 5, and their difference is 2, so I think negative 7 times 5 gives you negative 35. Negative 35, and then negative 7 plus 5 gives you negative 2. So it matches all the conditions. That means this now factors as y minus 7, y plus 5 equal to 0, and then you can solve this as y minus 7 equal to 0, so y is 7, y plus 5 is 0, so y is negative 5. But y is a width, and width can never be negative, so this is a no-no. Width is positive, and therefore what you get is y must be 7. And if width is 7, what is the length? Well, length is, if you plug in 7 here, see, x is, here, x is 2y minus 4, and because y is 7, 2 times 7 is 14, 14 minus 4 is 10. So I get x equals to 10. So the answer is, the dimension is a 10 by 7 rectangle. Here's another example. A rectangular picture has a height that is 5/7 of its width. Its area is 140 square inches. Well, let's again use this strategy. Just call the height as x and width as y. And I see that height is 5/7 of its width, and is means equal sign. And here's an important fact that you have to know, that if you have some number with of another quantity, this of should be thought as multiplication. So of should be thought as multiplication. Alright, so we have x equals to 5/7 of, means multiplication, y. And the area is 140 square inches. So what is the area? Area is height times width, and that should be 140. And you're trying to solve this. You already have x equals to 5/7 of y, so you can replace your x by 5/7 of y. So you have 5/7 of y times y equals 140. And then you can multiply 7 both sides and get 5. Y times y is y squared. 7 times 14 is 980. And then if you divide by 5, 980 divided by 5 gives you, let's see, 5, 980, 1, 5, 480. And then you have 9 times 5 is 45, 30, and then 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, so you have 196. Okay, that means y is plus or minus square root of 196, except that y is a width, so you don't need plus minus, you just need the plus 196. So let me just write like y equals to square root of 196. And you have to simplify the square root as much as possible by figuring out any kind of square factors. So I know that if the last 2 digits are divisible by 4, then the entire thing is divisible by 4. So 196 seems to be divisible by 4. Let's see, 196 divided by 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 36. 9 times 4 is 36. So we know that this is 4 times 49. And the square number comes out as its square root. Square root of 4 is 2. So it's 2 times square root of 49. Oh, but wait, I recognize this number. 49 is 7 squared, right? So that can all again come outside as a 7, so that's equal to 14. Now, what is x? X is 5/7 of y. So since y is 14, it's 5/7 times 14, and that gives you 10. So the answer is 10 by 14. Notice that there's the inches as the unit of the length, so you should put the units. You can either put IN for inches, or you can put two dashes like this, and that means inches.